Good Monday morning. How are you? Carlo Von Tap Genius here, where it's all about helping you find those abilities built in your mind and body, bring out those abilities to help you do your thing and live your passion to the fullest. That's what it's all about. But the mind can be a very, very, very tricky thing, yeah? We all have different doubts and fears and limitations that the mind creates on a continuous basis that will thwart the very best efforts and intentions. And, when we don't follow through, when things don't go as planned, we end up usually judging ourselves, our character, our strength, our discipline, our ability to follow through. And that is the least productive way of handling something when we don't follow through. Well, the best things that we can do is, first of all, give ourselves a break. Number two, make it about your mind, not who you are as a human being. Huge difference. And if you go with that distinction, that will enable you to give yourself a break and then focus on the thing that's actually the cause of things not coming to fruition. So today's topic is called, What Are You Tolerating? And one of the things about elements in our lives that have been there for a while, we will tend to get used to certain things and not be able to do anything about them. And we kind of take on a victim type of position with it, saying there's nothing I can do. It's just what it is. It's just the way life is. It's just the way my life is, et cetera, et cetera. But we get used to things after a while and they become invisible. And so that question, what are you tolerating? There might be things in your life that you're tolerating that you don't even realize or haven't thought of in a long time. Like in your relationships, the quality of your relationships, how people treat you, how you're able to connect with them. What are you tolerating in that area? Do you have people in your life that treat you with love and respect and give you support and encouragement when you need it? Or are they constantly judging you and making you small or complaining or whatever? That's relationships. What about a sense of well-being in your life? What are you tolerating there? Are you tolerating having a continuous sense of stress about getting all your stuff to do done? Are you tolerating things being a little chaotic, a little unruly? As part of life can be really messy. But when I take a look at what am I tolerating, what do I not even notice? That's one of the ways that I look into what am I tolerating? What are some of the things in my life that I haven't noticed in a while? For example, if I have, let's say, a repair, a faucet to repair, and every time I go to turn on the thing, it leaks a little bit. So I got to get that fixed. I got to get that fixed. Well, you never manage to do it. And after a while, you just kind of like get used to it and you don't really notice it as much. You do, but you don't. And after a while, it just becomes your new normal. And those things will collect and build up over time. So if you are willing to take a look, scan the different elements of your life and see what are you tolerating? What could actually be better? What would you actually have a say in? Little things. One of the biggest things that I can recommend is that when you see things that you're tolerating that you'd rather have be different, number one, don't see it as a problem. Just see it as it is. Just data, just facts, just circumstances. It's hard to do, but a really important step. When you see something you don't like, the tendency is to judge it and to try and get rid of it. Here I'm suggesting, instead of seeing it as a problem, just see it for what it is. It's just a circumstance in your life. And if you can objectify it, you can neutralize it, step away from it a little bit, and even gamify it, turn it into a game. Now that can be hard with certain serious issues and things that mean a lot to you, but it can be done. And when you can gamify, when you can lighten up, when you can make it not about you, about your mind instead, and you become the observer to those things, it puts you in a much, much, much better place to actually create some movement in that area without pushing and shoving or making it a big, big deal. Whenever possible, we want to be able to move ahead in our lives easily, effortlessly, even with massive action. I'm not talking about action or lack of. I'm talking about who we are being while we're doing our doing. Who am I being? Am I being somebody who's frantic, stressed, just wanting to get past the day? Or am I somebody who is being somebody who is clear and creative and jazzed and enthused and lit up? There are all sorts of different ways of kind of like altering who we are being in any particular moment. And so when we take a look at those tolerations, those things that we'd rather not have, once we are clear on those things, again, first step, we don't need to judge it. And if you did judge it, that's okay. You don't have to judge the judgment either, because the mind will do that. But just notice it and do your best to just kind of like objectify, just let it be there for the time being. Get neutral, get calm, get clear, take a deep breath, just be with it, right? So that's the very first step that we can do with these tolerations. The second step that we can do is we can picture what could be different about this, and what would that be like? Just what if? Not that it has to be, not that you have to make changes in order to be happy, content, or whatever, because you don't actually. Contentment, happiness, peace of mind, ideally is not based on circumstances or how well things are going. And if things are going well, it makes it a hell of a lot easier. But when things aren't going necessarily well, can you still be in that state of mind? Calm, clear, present, without resisting things that are ways that you'd rather not have them be. It's quite the trick, but it is the trick. It is the essential skill, as far as I'm concerned, to be able to be present to things that you would rather not have. And to be able to be calm and clear. That's the whole point, to be calm and clear so that we can better deal with the challenges that we have. So if you're willing to take a look at those things that you might be tolerating that you think are good enough, or things that you just can't do anything about, so, oh, well, if you're willing to take a look at those, and again, I have to emphasize, take a look at those things from a place of curiosity, fascination, like, why is it that this area of my life has not budged? Like, is this okay? Do I really want it to be like this? I mean, it can be small, tiny little things, like little habits that I have, like when it comes to doing my laundry, for example. I used to wait, and sometimes I still do, until I run out of everything. And so then I tolerate having a lack of clean clothes, for example. A real small, tiny thing, but the point hopefully will be clear is that if I am willing to just wake up, because again, the hardest thing with the things that we're tolerating is that they're habitual things in our lives. They're just normal. And even if we don't like them or whatever, after a while, we just barely notice them. We just get used to, and we end up tolerating a lot of things that we might not have to tolerate, might not have to. And, so if I can take a look at these different areas in my life, like in my environment, like I was just mentioning the laundry, sometimes I can make just the tiniest little adjustment. It'll make all the difference in the world. Think about this. Think about those activities that you have to do, the chores, cleaning, laundry, that kind of stuff. And I don't know about you, but I used to have a lot of resistance to doing those things, and I would hesitate and hem and haw, and then I'd run out of clean laundry. And eventually, when I can't go any more days, I finally grumble and I do the laundry. So that laundry has to get done, right? And it's the same amount of work. So what if I were to just make one little tiny, tiny, tiny change to that? The timing. If I were, and this sounds really silly, but just apply to anything regarding repetitive tasks, like doing the dishes and whatnot, right? If you just change one thing, the timing, it can overall change the quality of your life in rather simple yet profound ways. Like, if I do my laundry just a week earlier, then I'll always have clean clothes available. Same thing with my dishes. Again, real small, tiny thing here, but it makes a difference. So I used to let the dishes pile up in the sink. And then it would go a couple of days, and then, oh my gosh, to do the dishes is such a big task, right? Then the resistance builds to doing that, and you finally do it because it's got to get done. Well, what if I were to just change the timing of that, which I have now done? So what I do is when I'm cooking, I actually have gotten into the habit of cleaning up as I'm cooking. It does not take any more time. Because I changed the timing of that, then after I eat, put the dishes in the sink, and there's just a few things. And what I do is I just focus on that one dish. I'm just going to pick up that one dish. And if I just pick up that one dish or that one sock or whatever, and I just focus on that one thing, that one activity will get me to do the rest of that activity, whether it be to clean the apartment or finish my dishes. And so what I ended up having is now, and again, this is trivial, but it makes a point, And that even with trivial things, it can still make a difference in your overall quality of your life. That now that I changed the timing of doing my dishes, I go to the kitchen, it's always clean. The cupboards are always clean. And what did I do? I just changed the timing of something just a little earlier. And it changed the whole quality of my life. See? So you can take things that you're tolerating in your life, and I'd say start with small things. Start with small, tiny little things. And maybe in the world of organization or self-care. So, having clean clothes, that's self-care. Yeah? Having a nice clean sink and kitchen area at all times. Why? Because I just changed the timing of when I do the dishes, right? It improves the quality of life. So what are some things that you're tolerating? Please do share, comment, let me know. Because there are many areas in life that we can be tolerating. And again, we get used to things. That's the problem. We get used to things. So what have you gotten used to that if you were to find one or two things that maybe, just maybe, if you were to create a little bit of a shift in that area in a light way, not something, I got to do this thing, change things. No. Just little light things. Be thinking along those lines so you don't get a lot of resistance to it. Because again, I believe that it's almost always possible to be in massive action, but effortlessly so. So as you're doing your day, after we get off this live, as you do your day, just watch how you're doing your doing, and watch who you are being while doing your doing. Who are you being while you're doing your doing? If I am being somebody who's in a rush, impatient, just trying to get through all my to-do tasks for the day, right? Which is very easy to get into. You get that to-do list, you get to check them out, and then when it's all done, you go, right? Here, instead, it's about taking a nice light approach. And when I am doing my doing, I'm going to check in with who I am being. So if I am in being somebody who's in rush mode, I've just added to the stress of the activity. I've ruined the rhythm, because if you're rushing, you can ruin the rhythm and things will fall, or you get klutzy, or you're less efficient. So is it possible to be in flow while you're doing your dishes? Yes. Why would you want to be in flow while doing the dishes? Well, it's something that has to be done. So who you are being could be somebody who's like just rushing through it, or you can be all sorts of different types of ways of being while you're doing your dishes. You be somebody who's listening to the tunes and getting into the groove, and as you're dancing and you're moving and grooving doing the dishes, it's gonna be easier to do. You might even enjoy yourself because you're just doing whatever you're doing in the end. It's our thinking about how we're doing that makes it pleasurable or not, right? For the most part, unless we're digging ditches or we're getting really tired and fatigued or whatever. But generally, our attitude, our perspective, who we are being as we're doing our doing will absolutely impact the quality of our work, the level of stress or the lack of, the amount of enjoyment that we have in the everyday. And if you find joy in the everyday, like even doing laundry and dishes, like really? Yeah. Why not? Even if you spent your whole life hating doing the dishes or doing the laundry or cleaning the house or any task that you can think of, is it possible to change your relationship with that thing? Yeah. And it's not about having a positive attitude. That's a nice notion, but I'm going like way beyond that. I'm talking about being creative and how you approach things. And if you get it, that there's what is, and then there's my thinking about it that makes it the experience of that thing, then I can change my thinking. Not to force it, but just to have a thing where you're just a little bit more playful with the whole damn thing and a little less resistant. So when we want to make a change, typically we don't want something and we complain about it, or we're disgruntled by it or whatever, and we're trying to get to something else so that we can feel better. That's one way to do things. An easier, more effective way to do things is find some way to be in what I call the yes of where you find yourself right now. Give up, and I'm not talking about liking it or accepting it. I'm just talking about giving up the resistance to it. No, this should not be, cannot be. There's got to be a different way. Yeah. Right. However, it is what it is right now. That's a fact. That's reality. And so if I can just acknowledge it without judging it as good, bad, right, wrong, without resisting and trying to get rid of it, it makes it so much easier. And so Can we use things like music to help us get into a rhythm and flow while we're doing our doing? And can we then check in with ourselves? Who am I being right now? Am I being somebody who's trying to rush through, somebody in fear mode, somebody in stress mode or whatever? Or can I be somebody who's in a playful spirit a little bit more, or a lighter place, or a creative place, or. Who you are being while you're doing your doing will make all the difference in the world, and it's up to you. So take a look at those tolerations. Even write them down if you want, or just pick one. And I recommend probably a small thing that you'd like to see altered, and have fun with it. Yep, you got to have fun with it. That's it. Must have fun with that thing. Try it out. See what happens. Let me know how it goes. See ya.